Hello, America, and welcome to another update from the New York Megaphone. I'm Sander Hicks, and I will be your host of the show here today. This is great. I don't really do internet radio anymore, but I love doing Facebook Live. So we're going to be doing this Facebook Live video and then sending it out to our email list newsletter. So if you're on the MailChimp newsletter for the Sander Hicks list, welcome, and thanks for tuning in. We've got a lot going on here. As you can see, we're here in the offices of Zen Carpentry, Zen Space Makers Incorporated, which is also the headquarters of the New York Megaphone newspaper. And we've been working on our new issue. You probably are familiar with our old issue that we put out a couple of months ago, but we have a new issue coming out, and we've at newyorkmegaphone.com, we have a post about some of the new content. We're very proud to be working with Paul Hawken, author of the book Drawdown. We actually got their permission to republish some of this book. This is the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming. This is an issue that a lot of people care about, and we care about it a lot too. So, and the book's about positive solutions, and we got permission from the publisher and Paul's people to publish the prologue in our paper. Our paper is not 100% recycled, but we're doing what we can to change things and to reverse climate change. You can see how crazy the climate's been this winter, right? So we're also doing a piece about kind of a deep dive into looking critically at the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, looking to see who he really was and why his death is really changing things in the U.S.-Saudi relationship, as well it should. We have a story on affordable housing, the history of affordable housing in New York City, and an interview with Jamila Raqib. She works at MIT, and she also works at the center that is preserving the legacy of Gene Sharp. Gene Sharp was a big teacher in political, practical nonviolence, so he's been a big influence. So we're excited about that. I also wanted to let people know that there's a meeting tonight. Truth Action Project has got a meeting. Kiki is coming. Kiki, you'll meet Kiki in a minute. She's one of my new assistants. We have some very special guests at this meeting tonight. It's at the Quaker Meeting House, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., 15 Rutherford Place, tonight in New York City. And we've got David Meiswinkle of the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry. And we've also got public advocate candidate David Eisenbach. So, and how did this happen? Well, he actually got into contact with me because I did an appearance on RT America about the recent controversies around the Saudis. We know that the Saudis had a deep connection to 9/11, and they are not the only deep state actor who was involved in 9/11. So I talked a little bit about that, in the context of what's happening now with these hackers from the Dark Overlord and the recent controversy down at Ground Zero with the sculpture that had the Saudi flag on it, being right there at Ground Zero. It was controversial, and thank God, truly thank God that that controversy was solved. I think that there was a thawing in the mainstream consciousness in New York City about 9/11, and the Port Authority acted swiftly, and they removed the sculpture from Ground Zero, because I think a lot of people know that the Saudi relationship to the 19 hijackers, it's been exposed in the 28 pages, and now we have these great victories with the JASTA bill, with the Lawyers Committee getting recognized by the U.S. Attorney General. So that's really exciting. And so for this sculpture to be put at Ground Zero with the Saudi flag on it, it really needed to get removed. And I think this is part of a larger picture that we have to look at, in which, still there's a lot of people that don't want to talk about the full truth about how 2 planes could have brought down 3 towers. I get that. But what I want to tell everybody, left, right, and center, people that are into 9/11 exposure, 9/11 justice or not, I want to say that there is mainstream acceptance when you say, oh, but don't you think the Saudi 9/11 connection should be exposed? A lot of people are like, oh, yes. And that, I think, is an opening, a door to say, okay, and there's also other actors, other deep state actors from other countries involved. The United States, deep state for one. You could talk about other countries in the Middle East, like Israel. and Saudi Arabia. So those are the three main components of the cover-up of 9/11. But that's all changing, as we're going to learn tonight at the Truth Action Project meeting with David Meiswinkle from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry. They did file a petition with the U.S. Attorney. We've been very active in that here in this office, and we're going to be doing a big story about that in the New York Megaphone. So I'm really hoping that you can support the New York Megaphone and make sure that you're on our email list. NewYorkMegaphone.com has a link to some of what we've been planning to publish. We're planning a new issue in February. That's coming out. So also part of this newsletter is going to give you, part of this video is to say that we've also renovated the website at zencarpentry.nyc. And here we are. You can probably hear the machines in the background. There's a table saw being operated down in the wood shop. There's a great relationship between my carpentry business and my newspaper. And we just recently renovated a board game store in Tribeca called Brooklyn Games Lab. They were a lot of fun to work with, and we did a post about that recently. So that'll be coming up. That's on zencarpentry.nyc. So if you're just joining us, thank you very much for joining us. It's great. Thank you for your comment, Kate. She's excited that David Meiswinkle from the Lawyers Committee will be at our meeting tonight. So please do check that out. That's truthaction.net. That's the post about our meeting tonight. Not only do we have Lawyers Committee member David Meiswinkle, but I've heard that we might have another member of the Lawyers Committee. And we're definitely going to have David Eisenbach coming in at around 8:30 p.m. He's a professor of history at Columbia University, and he is a candidate for public advocate. And he deliberately said he wants to use the public advocate's race. There's a special election in February 26th here in New York City. He said he wants to use the the public advocate's race to advocate for the truth, for exposing the truth about the Saudi connection to 9/11. This guy's great. He actually said that Mayor Bill de Blasio is the Manchurian candidate of the New York real estate industry. So I was just like, wow, your use of the phrase Manchurian candidate is indicative of a deep skepticism of the American political status quo. So I totally appreciated that. That was nice. We have special guests on this video podcast. We have two great people that are my coworkers up here in the office. She'll be speaking February 2nd in New York City on Haiti, the politics of Haiti at 230 Lexington Avenue, February 2nd. I highly recommend you go to this. It's sponsored by, here, scoot over. It's sponsored by the Students and Youth for a New America, which is a socialist group that has some very interesting patriotic feelings about American history. So it's a very unique socialist group headed up by Caleb Mopin. And he told me about Kiki Dewar. And am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yep, exactly.
Oh, great. Like Dewar Scotch.
Exactly.
which we are trying to get some distance from these days. Anyway, yeah, great. So Kiki, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing on February 2nd, and I'll be your cameraman.
Okay. So as Sander mentioned, my name is Kiki, and I do a lot of work with Caleb and his group, Students and Youth for a New America. And we're hosting an event called Is America the New Rome? Will It Fall? And my particular presentation at the event is about the American occupation of Haiti during 1915. And I'm using this particular event as a lens through which to view American imperialism in Haiti and elsewhere. But this particular event is very indicative of a trend of the United States where it'll interfere in Latin American politics in a very negative way that ultimately winds up harming the US and the country involved. So that'll be a fascinating discussion. There's Caleb Mopin is also going to do a presentation about the main topic, Is America the New Rome? Will It Fall? Discussing the current state of politics and comparing it to the Roman Empire. So
that's great. He's a very articulate gentleman. If you don't know who we're talking about, Caleb Mopin, he's our friend. He's how we met. We met at his birthday party. I really feel he is a gift to humanity. Yes. You know,
100%.
That God is good and occasionally gives us prophetic voices who are revolutionaries. And he's also very concerned. It's something we should mention here in the video podcast or whatever this is. We should mention that he's very concerned about the recent incarceration without charges of Marzia Hashemi. This is something that we should all really cover in our upcoming issue of the paper as well. This is a Press TV journalist. I've actually been on Press TV numerous times. She's been the host. She was just incarcerated without charges. And so it's something that we need to denounce, because the U.S. government has overreached. We have laws in this country to prevent incarceration without charges. So, and Caleb himself was talking about how concerned he was about this, being a journalist at RT.
Absolutely. I think it's a dangerous time right now for journalists who speak the truth in this country, just because there are many people who don't want it to get out.
Yeah, great. Awesome. So Kate Soboleski would like us to post your name. Should we post Kiki or Kira? Okay, great. So Kiki's name is being posted right now, so you can Google Kiki. Great, Kiki. So February 2nd, you are at the theater at 230 Lexington Avenue, speaking about the history of La République du Haiti. Mm-hmm. Great, awesome. That sounds like a great event. So I urge people to go to that. So thanks for being on our video podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. Now get back to work. Just kidding. Oh, no. Mike, you're up. You're on deck. All right. So Mike and I have been working on all kinds of stuff here at New York Megaphone. He's my right-hand man, also for Loft bed sales leads, which we're also doing. And he's also a young filmmaker and very talented individual. So is Michael or Mike? Mike Ray McGee. Michael Ray. Mike Ray. All right. So here, scoot closer. Get in frame. Yeah. Good. So you have a Trump documentary film that is about to come out. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, it's coming out hopefully later this year on Amazon Prime. It is documentary shorts, about 15 minutes long. It's not necessarily about Trump himself. It's about the election, what led to him running in the election, which was really kind of sort of when Obama was chastising him during the states dinner, the state correspondence dinner.
Right.
And him sort of wanting to sort of get revenge for that. That was really the impetus we believe was for him to even run, was ego. I don't think even he thought he was going to win.
Yeah, but that's what Michael Moore said. Yeah.
And so that was his goal. And so we cover a little bit of his pop culture impact. We show a clip of him on Fresh Prince and him doing different movies. And obviously he was a reality show host with Celebrity Apprentice and things like that.
Yeah.
And how that parlayed into politics, and how this guy with no political experience became the president of the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
And how he was able to manipulate the media through that and all that. So we're able to. I wanted it to be longer initially, but we had to trim it down to about 15 minutes.
And when you say you're part of a collective?
Yeah, I'm part of a production company for feature films and television called the Black and Latino Film Coalition, which is all about getting directors of color, minorities, more opportunity in front of the camera as well as behind the camera. And it's started by a great guy named Babatunde Odesanya. We call him Tunde for short. He founded the organization with a great guy back in the 90s named Mustafa Majid. Now, they had very different philosophies. I kind of liken it to, if you follow comic books or X-Men, Professor X and Magneto, or in real life, who they're based off of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. One's more of a peaceful approach, one more of an aggressive approach. Mustafa Majid would literally storm onto the set of movies like Batman Returns and things like that and demand that they have more black people on the crew, and he'd try to shut them down. And they're actually in the process of making a documentary about that now, called Shut 'Em Down. And he was all about violence. He got arrested all the time. He got kicked off sets. And Tunde was like, this isn't the way to change things. We have to change the system from the inside. We got to start our own production company, hire people of color, directors of color, tell our own stories.
Exactly.
And so he started BLFC because of that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And so
and he's the one that's been with it and has a sustained relationship.
Yes.
With you and with
Yes, and with
People.
film festivals and things like that.
That's
And
good.
So I've been working with him since 2014. I wrote a horror film called The Unwanted, and I was trying to direct it. He got me with the investors that were supposed to help us make the film. The investors eventually dropped out, but I'm still working with him to this day on my upcoming film, Tough Enough. And I brought I actually met a guy in New Jersey named Eddie who owns a home cleaning company. Talk about wearing a lot of hats like you. And he hit me up on Craigslist. He said, I know you're a filmmaker, and I have all these ideas about Trump, but I don't know anything about making films. And that's how he brought me the idea of the Trump documentary.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And
Great.
then we didn't know what we were going to do with it. And I was thinking about trying to go to film festivals, all this stuff. And that's when Tunde from BLFC got the Amazon distribution deal. And we had the perfect avenue, this new streaming service, which is obviously competing with Netflix and Hulu, which is about to become Disney Plus. To get this out there to the world.
Oh, Hulu's becoming Disney Plus?
Yeah, that's Disney's developing their own streaming service, and they're purchasing Hulu, and they're going to use their platform and add all the Star Wars and Marvel stuff. So they're pretty much using that.
If I was Disney, I would say, let's just call it Hulu, because nobody wants to watch Disney Plus, but Hulu has a brand that
Right.
I think shouldn't be completely abandoned, because Disney is just like, you think about Pocahontas or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there's the knock on the door. It looks like we got to go soon. So we're going to wrap up this video podcast that we're doing right now.
Peace.
And thanks, Mike, and thanks, Kiki, for being on the podcast. And yeah. And so thank you very much for everybody who watched it. And please do subscribe to our newsletter if you're not on it already at newyorkmegaphone.com. That'll put you on the Sander Hicks list, so you'll get all kinds of cool emails about craft carpentry, craft journalism, independent journalism, hicksforcongress.com, those kinds of updates as well. All right. Peace, love, revolutionary consciousness.